Okay, so when you picture the daily life and diet of a top-tier medical professional, what exactly comes to mind? If we're being honest, we usually imagine them as these paragons of perfect health, right? We picture them eating steamed fish, massive bowls of organic kale salads, and drinking absolutely nothing but green tea and water. We just assume that because they know exactly how the human body works, they must treat their own bodies like absolute temples, 24/7. But today, in this explainer, we are going to completely challenge that assumption. And we're going to do it by diving into the real, unfiltered dietary habits of an actual brain expert.
It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Do doctors really practice what they preach? I mean, do they actually hold themselves to the exact same rigid, flawless standards that they prescribe to their patients? It's a pretty provocative thought. Because look, we've all had those incredibly long, exhausting days where the absolute last thing in the world we want to do is chop vegetables and steam a chicken breast. We want comfort, we want flavor, we want to just let go and indulge. So what happens when a highly stressed medical expert hits that exact same wall of exhaustion? What do they actually consume when they finally step out of the hospital?
Well, you might be surprised to hear what our medical expert actually had for dinner last night. We're talking BBQ and beer. Yep, a heavy, glorious, totally guilt-inducing feast. Just think about it for a second. Massive plates of fatty, sizzling roasted meat paired with tall, cold glasses of alcohol. It completely validates our own everyday cravings, doesn't it? After a grueling, tiring day at work, that urge to just let go and eat something heavy is a totally universal human experience. But, it feels almost a little scandalous coming from a doctor.
Now, you might be thinking this is just some medical intern who doesn't know any better. No way. This is Dr. Kazu. He is a highly experienced neurosurgeon and a former associate professor at a medical school. Every single day, he is right there in the operating room, performing incredibly complex, life-or-death surgeries for strokes and brain tumors. He is literally an elite expert in brain structure and the super intricate web of brain blood vessels. So we really have to understand something here. This dietary choice of BBQ and beer, it isn't just a reckless mistake. It is a highly calculated decision made by someone who knows the biological consequences better than almost anyone else on the planet. To really get why he's making this choice, we first have to talk about the double-edged sword of eating meat. On the good side, the protein you get from meat is absolutely vital. It's literally the fundamental building block for the neurotransmitters in your brain, things like serotonin and dopamine. If you're lacking those, your concentration just crashes and your mood completely plummets. Plus, red meat is absolutely packed with iron and vitamin B, which are absolutely critical for the brain's energy metabolism. But obviously, there's a bad side. The trap of BBQ is all that excess saturated fat. Consuming too much of it creates plaque inside your blood vessels, which worsens your blood flow. And if that progresses, it clogs the vessels entirely, causing the very strokes Dr. Kazu operates on every single day.
And then, of course, there is the beer. Look, we can't sugarcoat this part. Medical research is undeniably crystal clear on the subject. Even small amounts of alcohol decrease brain volume. During the biological process of breaking down that alcohol, substances are generated that place a massive physical burden directly on your brain's nerve cells. It literally causes the brain to shrink. So yeah, there is just no hiding from the physical reality of what alcohol does to your neurological health.
So here is the million-dollar question, the central paradox of this whole thing. If we know for a fact that fatty meat can clog our blood vessels and lead to a stroke, and we know that alcohol definitively shrinks the brain and burdens our nerve cells, why on earth would a neurosurgeon, someone whose entire life's mission is protecting the brain, choose to indulge in them? It seems completely counterintuitive, right? It just doesn't make sense. But the answer actually lies in a hidden biological necessity that we almost never talk about when we discuss what makes a healthy diet. Enter the real villain of our story today, cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that your body secretes during periods of chronic stress. Now, what causes this kind of stress? Well, things like long, high-tension brain surgeries, for sure. But you know what else? The strict, unwavering restriction of trying to maintain a perfect diet. Forcing yourself to constantly restrict what you eat generates a massive amount of internal, chronic stress. And when your cortisol levels remain high for long periods of time, it elevates your blood pressure. That high blood pressure essentially acts like a toxic poison, physically and directly battering and damaging the extremely delicate blood vessels in your brain. And boom, this is exactly where the logic behind the BBQ and beers suddenly makes total sense. Occasional indulgence basically acts as a highly strategic pressure release valve. When you are operating in a demanding environment, mental and physical fatigue accumulate incredibly fast. By sitting down, eating a delicious, heavy meal, and having a drink, you are actively relaxing your sympathetic nervous system. You are relieving that deadly, invisible poison of chronic stress.
In Dr. Kazu's expert view, the immediate damage caused by the stress of endless dietary restriction is actually way more dangerous to his brain's blood vessels than just having an occasional plate of fatty meat. Now hold on. Don't mistake this for a free pass to just go totally wild every night. The surgeon has very strict, non-negotiable rules to protect those blood vessels when he does indulge. Step 1, always drink an equal or greater amount of water as a chaser. Step 2 is actually the core reason for Step 1. You absolutely must prevent a rapid spike in your blood alcohol concentration. A sudden spike is what really hammers the brain's blood vessels. And Step 3, implement at least 2 dedicated liver rest days every single week. You have to give your liver and your brain an unbroken window to physically repair themselves.
And if you're sitting there watching this, maybe feeling a little bit guilty about your own weekend indulgences, you are going to love this next rule. This is the 3-day reset rule. You do not need to have a flawless diet every single day. If you eat a messy, heavy meal of barbecue and beer on a Friday night, the game isn't over. You simply need to consciously balance your nutritional intake over the next 72 hours. One chaotic meal can be completely recovered from, as long as you treat your diet in 3-day units. It honestly takes all the anxiety out of eating and replaces it with a really manageable, realistic strategy. So what exactly are we eating during this 3-day reset window? Dr. Kazu relies on a very specific matrix of reset foods. The morning after indulging, you want to avoid anything greasy and pivot straight to these. First up, bluefish. Think mackerel or sardines. They are absolutely packed with EPA and DHA, which literally makes your blood flow smoother and directly reduces the inflammation in your blood vessels that you caused the night before. Next, green and yellow veggies. These provide massive doses of antioxidants that act like a cleanup crew, specifically caring for and repairing those nerve cells burdened by the alcohol. And finally, soy products like tofu. This gives your brain the healthy, clean protein it needs to rebuild its neurotransmitters without adding any of those dangerous saturated fats back into the mix.
But here's the kicker. Dietary resets are only half the battle. The absolute ultimate brain detox, it actually has nothing to do with what's on your plate. It's high-quality sleep. Dr. Kazu stresses that securing proper sleep is actually far more important for your recovery than having the perfect diet the next day. If you've placed a heavy burden on your body through alcohol and saturated fats, literally, the best thing you can do for your brain's survival is to just go to sleep and let your body run its natural, built-in maintenance protocols.
And the biology behind how sleep actually detoxifies you is just wild. It's a process called the glymphatic system. When you achieve deep sleep, your brain physically shrinks in size. It actually retracts. And by shrinking, it opens up all this space around your cells, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to rush in and literally power wash away all the built-up waste, toxins, and metabolic byproducts, including all the damage from last night's drinks. If you don't sleep enough, this cleaning system never activates, and those toxins just sit up there, compounding the damage day after day.
Which brings us to this incredibly empowering takeaway from a guy who literally spends his days looking inside the human brain. He says, living with constant restriction damages the brain and heart. Know your body, enjoy with balance. Perfection is just not the goal here. In fact, striving for dietary perfection can create so much toxic stress that it becomes entirely counterproductive and physically harmful. The absolute best preventative medicine isn't eating plain, boring salads forever. It's understanding how your biology actually works so you can enjoy your life guilt-free while knowing exactly how to reset and recover the very next day. So, I want to leave you with a final thought, a little challenge to chew on. What are you going to eat tomorrow to reset? The next time you indulge, seriously, don't panic. Don't let the stress of an imperfect meal ruin your night. Enjoy it. Release that pent-up stress and just remember the 3-day rule. Grab some water as a chaser, get a fantastic night of sleep to trigger that glymphatic system, and plan a really restorative meal for the morning. It's realistic, it's backed by a top-tier brain surgeon, and it's something you can start applying right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.